Let us start the 19th session of Secrets of Spirituality. We have been coming from the compressed picture of the universe at the beginning, and we came down till the microcosm. Starting from the macrocosm, we came down till the microcosm. Then we went still down, finding out the relevant secrets of the composition of matter and life together. And we had been discussing about the leptons, mesons, gravitons, Higgs bosons, and all those particles which are newly being invented by the modern scientists. Now, they kept on speculating, or they kept on hypothesizing that how come all these smallest particles are constructed in the universe? Because we have been seeing the very big objects, so to say. From the very big objects, we came down to the smallest particles. And we know that the smallest particles combine together to make an atom. And the atoms combine together to make a molecule. Molecules combine together to make compounds. And compounds combine together to make DNA's structure. And DNA itself is inside the nucleus. And nucleus inside is inside a living cell. And the cells combine together, or cells function together, so to say, to make up a living body. It may be an animal body or it may be a plant body. This is from the side of analyzing life. Now, from the side of analyzing matter as such, even matter is also comprising of the combination of so many compounds. A big rock is nothing but a packed collection of lot of sand particles. So, even a big planet is nothing but a big rock or mud compressed together. And if there is water, water is there along with mud or rocks. So, observing the nature in this manner, it is quite evident that initially it must be the construction of the smallest particles, and then later on it is gradually progressing with the accumulation of these particles to form a bigger objects. Now the question which arises here is, how come the smallest particles also come into picture? And the search has been going on about which one is smallest, which one is biggest. We look at the sky, we keep on measuring the distance between the stars, and we keep on finding out the sizes of each stars, whichever are available to our telescopes. Still, we don't know in this infinite universe which star is biggest. In the same way, in this universe, even today we don't know which particle is smallest. In fact, the smallest may not exist, the biggest may not exist, because it is all up to our human perceptions. Whatever is small to an elephant will be big to an ant. So that way we cannot say which one is big, which one is small based on our sensory perceptions or our seeing abilities or viewing abilities in whatever way. So now, they kept on using telescope for looking at the outer space, and they kept on using microscope for looking at the inner space. And then they developed a new theory called string theory. The string theory was developed just to have some more answers about how the very small particles are formed in the first place. Because if any particle has to be formed, all particles are round in shape or spherical in shape, and all particles are moving. No particle is stationary. Every particle is moving. Every object is moving. Even though we feel as if we are stationary, Earth is moving, Sun is moving, galaxy is moving, all the stars are moving, whole universe is under movement. Even if we feel that we are sitting still, inside our body, blood is moving, heart is pumping, breathing is happening. So many electrical signals are transmitted to the brain, and kidneys are pumping out the excess water from the body. And from the stomach, the food is being digested and pushed down towards the small intestine. And from the small intestine, nutrients are being absorbed into the blood, and the remaining waste material is pushed down to the large intestine. And your nails will be growing, your hairs will be growing. There is aging happening in the body, which simply means there is nothing that is still. Everything is moving. Inside the body, the smaller particles are moving. Outside the body, the bigger nature itself is moving. The bigger stars and planets are all moving. Sun is moving at a much larger speed than the Earth itself. If this is the case, there must be a very subtle movement happening in the space, due to which the very smallest particles are produced. Because if a particle has to be produced, if the particle has to be spherical in shape, there must be a movement which causes this accumulation of smallest matter, so to say, to make the smallest particle, so to say. Otherwise, how come the smallest particle can come into existence in free space? So using the same logic, a theory called string theory was developed. Now you can look at the picture on the screen. The string theory was developed visualizing multidimensional space or multidimensional universe. In the mathematics, we have been using x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, indicating length, width and height, or length, width and depth. In the x and y-axis measurements, we have 4 quadrants, whereas in the case of x, y, z axis, we will have to visualize 3-dimensional space. But now, for a 3-dimensional space, we take this x, y and z axis from a reference and we call it as an origin. But in the universe, where is the origin? Where is the periphery? Whether the universe is ever expanding and ever compressing, we really don't understand, because universe is infinite. When everything is moving in this universe, where is the reference point to take, so to say? So now, based on this logic, a theory has been developed in many different ways, where there can be movement of energy in many different directions, in many different dimensions. If a smallest particle has to be produced in space, there must be movement within the space. And then this particle has to be a compressed matter itself. In that case, space cannot be empty. If space is empty, from the empty space, how can a smallest particle also be produced? So space must be full. And in the full space, there must be something beyond matter, something beyond energy. The full space where there is something beyond energy, out of its own will or out of its own intention or out of its own purpose, it creates a very subtle, minute movement. And that minute movement itself causes a rotation or a revolution or a spherical movement by means of which the smallest particles are generated. Now, using this logic, they developed this particular string theory. Let me show you one more picture. You can see one more picture. As they are unable to visualize any particular reference point for the universe, they developed many such pictures for depicting the string theory in such a way that there can be different types of movements of this energy itself in different axes altogether. It need not be only x-axis, y-axis, or it need not be only x, y, and z axis. It can be multiple axes together. And we don't know how many axes may be there. It is beyond the human comprehension to visualize multidimensional universe. Just by depending upon only the sensory perceptions, it may not be possible to visualize universe that way. But as such, in mathematics, we already have a branch called linear algebra, which deals with multiple dimensions. Of course, all those multiple dimensions in linear algebra can be multiple physical quantities that are available already in our technical appliances. For example, when you are driving a car, one leg is on the accelerator, one more leg is on the brake pedal, and your hands are on the steering wheel, and your hands may also be pressing the horn, your hands may also be operating the indicator lights, and alternately you may use your legs for pressing the clutch also. So that way, when a car is moving, there are so many other physical quantities which are all interrelated. And when they are interrelated, all those different quantities can be represented by means of a multidimensional mathematics. Of course, that is for our technological products. But when it comes to the depiction of the universe, we cannot say that way. How do we represent the universe? By means of some quantities. Because in universe, there are no quantities. There are only particles, and the particles are made up of energy. So they have to use such different pictures. You can look at one more picture, which looks like a very strange or crazy picture. But again, human beings want to represent everything by means of diagrams or pictures. So they developed many such pictures for just propagating the string theory, where they speculated or hypothesized that a string of energy will move, and the string of energy, when it is moving, will give rise to particles. You can see this picture once again, where they use colors also for different depictions of the string theory, saying in the universe, by itself, it can produce many such energy patterns, and the energy patterns can give rise to particles. Now look at this picture. The previous pictures were somewhat systematized, whereas in this picture, it seems as if there are haphazard movements. But whether nature is random or whether nature is systematic, if we have to answer this question, we can say that nature is randomly systematic or systematically random. For example, whether your body is perfectly made or imperfectly made, the answer will be the body is almost perfect. At the same time, body is also imperfect. In the sense, all the bodies are nothing but the accumulation of cellular material, and as such, all the bodies are not like man-made machines. The man-made machines can be having the same dimensions as such. For example, if toys are made in a factory, all the toys will be made by means of a particular mold, and all the toys will have almost the same weight and the same size. Whereas, as far as human bodies are concerned, you may not find the same exact height and weight and size, just like your body. So we cannot say that the human body is perfect or perfectly made. So we can say that human body is somewhat imperfect. At the same time, we can also say that bodies are reaching towards some perfection. We have seen how from a zero sensed cell till a five sensed human beings, how there has been a natural progression or evolution with the addition of sensory organs. So we can say that nature has been working out imperfection along with perfection with the different types of materials. If you compare all the trees and plants, there have been evolution happening even with the trees and plants. I can say that this coconut tree is less evolved than the jackfruit tree. The reason is the jackfruit tree will have a fruit also, it will have so many seeds, whereas a coconut tree will have only the seed. It is difficult to consume the coconut as such compared to consuming the jackfruit. So, coconut tree must have been evolved earlier and jackfruit tree must have been evolved later, because there is a lot of improvement in the structure of the jackfruit itself when compared to coconut. Similarly, a peacock got evolved later when compared to a parrot, because the colorful feathers and the dancing abilities of the peacock cannot be compared with the parrot. That way we should say that nature has been experimenting with perfection in living bodies. So we cannot say that universe is well planned. At the same time, we cannot say that universe is ill planned. Both we cannot say. So we should say that universe is randomly systematic and universe is systematically random, because in randomness only some other creativity emerges out. If there is no randomness, there may not be a scope for improvement. If everything in nature is systematic, or if everything in nature is perfect, then there need not be anything else to be created as such, right? Let us say the very first organism which is created itself is perfect, then there is no need of further organisms as such. So, if God loves diversity, if God loves variety, then God has to experiment with the randomness only, and he has to make the randomness only as systematic creation. Now, can you call God as he? Can you call God as she? Can you call God as it? As God is the omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, divine consciousness. As we are all born out of a particular father, we can visualize this universal consciousness as the universal one and only Father. Even though God is not a human being, for our sake of language, we can refer God as He. Now, can we refer God as She? As energy is emerging out of the consciousness, out of its own will, and as energy is giving rise to all other particles and objects and planets and stars and nature as such, as we are all born out of mother's womb, we can also refer to this energy which is all pervading as the universal mother. And we can refer to this universal mother as she, because in our language we have only he, she and it. Now, can we call God as it? Again, we can, because we know that in the universe, it is the consciousness which produces energy, and it is the energy that produces matter. Finally, we should say it is neither male nor female, but it is giving rise to male and female forms in the living bodies. In that case, it is divine. It is conscious. In fact, God cannot be referred as he also, she also, it also. But our problem is that in our language, we don't have any other wordings. The language which we use is predominantly to express ourselves, and there are no such words to express something which is beyond ourselves. So that way, it is difficult to express this divine consciousness by means of words. That is why Taittiriya Upanishad says, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. From where the mind returns back along with the speech without obtaining it. Without obtaining what? Whatever the mind wanted to obtain along with the speech, it could not obtain. That means this is beyond words, beyond mind. So whether universe is systematically random or whether universe is randomly systematic, we should say both. And that is how evolution is happening, experimentation has been happening, and progression has been happening. If everything is perfectly made, there is no scope for improvement. So nothing will be perfectly made as such, but additional abilities will be imparted one by one. That is how from a zero-sensed cell to a one-sensed plants and trees, to a two-sensed worms, to a three-sensed fishes, to a four-sensed insects and snakes, to a five-sensed reptiles, birds, mammals and human beings, additional abilities have been being imparted by nature. So when these people kept on developing string theory, they actually started delving on the earlier philosophical treatises or the earlier spiritual revelations, which has been happening since many centuries or many millenniums. In whatever right now they are trying to understand the universe was already understood centuries before or millenniums before by all the rishis, by all the yogis, by all the monks, by all the prophets, by all the sages, by all the saints, by all the holy spiritual people. It is nothing new. Whatever is right now, the modern science is telling that there is a universal energy which is creating its own strings, and by means of which the particles are being made. The same universal energy is called in the Indian ancient philosophy as Adi Shakti or Para Shakti. Adi Shakti, the power which is at the beginning, Para Shakti, the power which is beyond all other powers. And whatever is the consciousness which these modern scientific people visualize throughout the universe, and they come to a conclusion that this universe is not empty, it is full. The space is not empty, it is full. The same one was referred in the ancient Indian philosophy as Parabrahman, Paramatma. That is when they coined the sentences in the Vedas as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. That is when Prophet Muhammad told, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. That is when Jesus Christ told, my Father's house has many mansions. Okay. So it is nothing new. The modern scientific community need not be proud that they are inventing a new theory called string theory. It is nothing new. Whatever is the quantum physics right now coming to some revelations, these revelations were already present in the ancient spiritual quest. And how was it possible for them? Now this modern scientific community is finding out all these truths by means of microscopic vision or telescopic vision, and by means of speculation and hypothesis and imagination. But how was this revealed to the ancient saints or sages or rishis or yogis or monks or prophets? It is by means of their ability of thoughtlessness and egolessness. Because water is not keeping anything secret. Fish is actually not opening up to understand the secrets of water. As long as the fish is busy observing itself and observing other fishes' activities, fish will never be turning its attention towards water. Same way, this universal consciousness has not kept anything secret. The problem with the human beings is they were unable to turn their vision towards the one that is governing this universe. As long as the human beings are involved in their own mundane thoughts, in their own materialistic desires, how will they be able to understand the spiritual secrets as such? In fact, spirituality is not a secret. The only thing is, spirituality is not openly available for all others also. Because if all the beings become completely spiritually enlightened, they will not involve in any mundane activities. They will not involve any materialistic desires or sensuous desires. When they do not involve in any sensuous desires, how will the nature progress further? Imagine if every human being on this earth is spiritually realized, and if they practice dharana, dhyana and samadhi, and if everyone is liberated, how will this human cycle continue? So there is something called Maya. Ma-ya. Ma means no, ya means yati. The basic meaning of Maya is don't go. Don't go towards what? Don't go towards the source of life. If you go towards the source of life, you will gain control over this particular life cycle. Then you will get liberated. For the same reason, this Adi Shakti or Parashakti or the Divine Mother is also called as Adi Maya. Maya basically also means illusion. There is an illusion from the beginning that I am me, you are you. When it is realized, then the Rishi in the Vedas will say, Aham Brahmasmi Tat Tvam Asi. Rishi will say, I am that Brahman and you are also that. But that is a very few number who really go for such spiritual quest and they realize this fact. All others will be busy relating themselves with their own bodies and with their own minds and with such sensuous worldly pleasures only. And that is how it is meant to be with them. So to say that these are all new findings of quantum physics are not true. There have been such revelations to all those holy people who have been making their mind still. That is what is told in the Bible, right? Be still and know that I am God. What does it mean? Be still means become thoughtless, become egoless. Then know that I am God. What does it mean? Aham Brahmasmi. Let me tell you a story. One day one young man was getting into a train and he picked up a seat in the train. He was seeing an old man reading Bible. Now this young man was very proud of the modern scientific inventions and he gradually picked up conversation with this old man and he told this old man, why are you reading very old useless books like Bible? That Bible is of no use. Whatever Moses has told, whatever Jesus Christ has told, they find no meaning. Because we are in a modern age now. In a modern age, we have so many technical innovations and we have so many modern scientific inventions. You need not read these books which are of no use for the present time. And the old man kept on looking at the young man and kept on smiling. The young man told, see, if you want to know more about modern science, modern technology, you can come to my house. I'll give you my visiting card and you can come and talk to me. I'll educate you a lot about the modern findings. Don't waste your time in reading these old books. Still the old man was keeping on looking at him and smiling. And finally the young man's station came. When he was getting down, he gave his visiting card to the old man and told him, you keep my visiting card, you can also give me your visiting card so that when I am free, I can also call you to my house. And they exchanged their visiting cards. The young man hurriedly got down from the train and he went home. After going home, he put his hand into the pocket and took out the visiting card of the old man, and it was written on the visiting card as Louis Pasteur. Now this young man thought, I was talking to Louis Pasteur in the train and he was reading the Bible. The scientist, the biologist who invented vaccine for rabies. The biologist who worked with so many such germs, who lived a life in high threat. Many times Louis Pasteur used to inject some germs into his own body just to understand their reactions within his body. Such a great biologist was reading the Bible in the train. Now the young man thought, what a fool I was. I was talking to Louis Pasteur and I was telling that Bible is useless. If Louis Pasteur is reading Bible, then there must be a great meaning. What this fellow did was, he directly went to Louis Pasteur's house and he apologized saying, I did not know that you are Louis Pasteur. I simply blabbered many things with you about the findings of the modern science. Now Louis Pasteur told, my dear friend, just because the modern things have been progressing this way, just because the modern scientists have developed so many technical things, it doesn't mean that they know everything. Even today, the secret of life and death is mysterious only. Just because you people have developed many good things about physics, chemistry or biology or about life as such, Even today, the cause of this creation is not yet revealed. And that way, Bible is also a highly scientific book. But the Bible is discussing the science of universe itself. Whereas whatever science you call, that's a science only for your human life or the natural life as such on this particular planet. Now, if Bible is discussing something beyond your normal curriculum which you learn or teach in the schools and colleges, why don't you read it? Why should you simply discard that all old books are useless? Whatever the olden people have found out, the modern people are yet to understand. So, my dear friend, don't come to a conclusion that reading Bible is useless, because I am finding many reasons for my own existence in the Bible. And I advise you that you also read the Bible for getting a holistic picture of the functioning of the universe. So, my dear friends, just because modern science has invented or discovered so many things, it doesn't mean that the ancient revelations are useless. In fact, these have been revealed centuries before and millenniums before, and the modern science is trying to understand it in their own language as such. Let me continue. Now, when they developed this particular theory called string theory, how to visualize a string? They visualize the string like this. A small string can have minute movements, many types of movements, movements in many directions, movements in many shapes. We really don't know how this minute energy is moving, because it is its own will through which it is moving. It can move in any dimensions. As we are subjected to only 2 and 3 dimensions, as human beings, we are trying to visualize the movement of energy in this manner, only for the sake of our understanding of this particular energy. Now, if there is this string has to start its movement somewhere, right? In some position in the universe, anywhere, it has to start a minute, very subtle, smallest movement, and gradually this movement should keep on increasing in its amplitude, and when the increase in amplitude happens, gradually it can start moving within the space, causing the formation of particles on the way throughout. This is how they visualized the movement of a string. In fact, string itself is made up of particles as such, we should say. There is no string as such in nature. It is the movement of the energy which is happening in the universe, anywhere in any point of time. Actually, time has not yet arisen. Time arises when movement is initiated. When there is no movement, how can there be time? When there is no movement, how can there be space also? Because space is what? Space is full of particles. If particles have to happen, movement of energy has to happen in all directions, because the particles have to be spherical. In all directions, if the movement has to happen, then there must be a intention to move. And where is this intention to move? This intention to move is everywhere then. Only when there is intention to move everywhere, only then energy will move everywhere, and only then particles will be formed everywhere. So, when this initiation of the movement of the subtle energy starts, only then time starts, and only then space emanates. So, I tell the full form for time as TIME, the infinite movement of energy. And I tell the full form for space as SPACE, systematically planned action of consciousness and energy. Why do we always use sinusoidal functions when we represent signals? Because sinusoidal functions are continuously moving functions. They are not abruptly changing functions. If there are continuously moving functions, they only give rise to a cycle. Any sine wave is basically a cycle. We measure it in 360 degrees. It is basically a cycle. It starts, it goes up, it comes back again, goes down in the other direction, again it comes back. We cannot say it is going up and going down, because whatever is up and down is meaningless here now. It can be multi-dimensional movement. It can be simply like a wave of water coming up and going down. Again I say, this up and down has no meaning here, because there are no such references here at all. This is multi-dimensional. So there can be a to and fro movement. Because of the to and fro movement in all directions, gradually it is giving rise to a ripple. And when it is giving rise to a ripple, this ripple will cause such minute particles in the universe. That is how time and space are produced at once. And later on, time becomes relative to each planet, to each satellite, maybe to each galaxy itself. Time is relative always. So, the revelation of string theory finally led to a great revelation that in the universe there are these energy threads everywhere. For the same energy threads which are there in the human body, we give the name nadis or meridians. We call these nadis, and we say in the nadi it is the prana that is flowing. In the same way, in the infinite universe, everywhere there is this gravitational force, and this gravitational force is causing all the stars and planets to move. And when it is making all these astral bodies to move, which simply means this gravitational force is basically because of the magnetic energy. Now this magnetic energy is basically called as Mukhya Prana. Mukhya means main, Prana means energy. Throughout the universe, this magnetic energy is present now, and it will have its infinite strings. So the whole of the universe is filled with the movement of this basic primordial energy called Adi Shakti, and the initiation of this Adi Shakti is caused by the will of the omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient divinity that is called Parabrahman. You call it as God, you call it as Paramatma, you call it as Yehovah, you call it as Allah, you call it in any name. That name is subjected to the language which you use. So that is where finally the string theory merges with the philosophical or theological nature as such. Finally, the string theory is trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe as such. If the modern scientists understand that finally string theory is leading to the actual self-realization, then I should say they are very fortunate that way. If they do not understand that, then they may start some more theories in future. We don't know. Look at this picture. We started with the largest universal visualization. Then we came down to galaxies. We came down to stellar systems. We came down to solar system. We came down to sun. Earth, mountains, human beings, ants, cells, DNA structure, subatomic particles, and quarks. Now, which one is largest, which one is smallest, we really don't know. We are all measuring this based on our own human beings' perceptions. There may not be a largest thing, there may not be a smallest thing. They are all intricately related, and whatever is largest and whatever is smallest may not make any sense at all when there is no limit for this universe. This universe will not have any center, the universe will not have any periphery as such. Because if at all you say that universe should end somewhere, then I should ask you a question. How do you mark an end? Now let us say, whenever you have to mark an end, something else has to end, something else has to begin, right? Bengaluru district will end, Tumkur district will begin, right? So you will say, this is where Bengaluru is ending, Tumkur is beginning. If something has to end, something else has to begin. If at all you should say that universe should end, then I should ask you, what should begin later on? Now, Earth's area should end and Venus area should begin, right? Venus area should end and Mercury area should begin, right? Sun's area should end and Alpha Centauri's area should begin, right? That is how you say this is ending, that is beginning. Now, how can you say a universe will end? Because something else has to begin there. Without any something else beginning, how can you say this thing is ending? So the thing that this is ending or this is beginning has no meaning. You will have to read the Purusha Sukta to understand this. Ajayamano bahudha vijayate is told in the Purusha Sukta. The one who is non-born, he is exhibiting himself with so many life forms. So universe has no beginning, no ending. In the sense, God has no beginning, no ending. Many times, stupid people ask this question. If God created us, who created God? That is their question. They don't know that they are temporary and God is permanent. Whatever is permanent, ever existing, is not subjected to the laws of creation and destruction or creation and dissolution or birth and death. It is as if fish is asking, if water created us, who created water? That question is meaningless. Question is absurd. Because fish is born in water, fish is going to die in water. Water is not subjected to birth and death. That is where many times in the philosophical domain or in the spiritual domain, people keep asking many such stupid questions. And for many such stupid questions, there can be only stupid answers. Because such questions and answers are only the exhibition of the mutual ego. That's all. So if at all, if the seekers have to really understand all the divine secrets, they will have to get into the path of stillness, thoughtlessness, egolessness. As long as ego is there, the ego keeps on constructing new thoughts and thoughts keep on getting generated out of the person's own culture or lifestyle. So as long as thoughts are there, there cannot be revelations. I had told you the earlier proverb, nature abhors vacuum. Make yourself empty, nature will fill you with its knowledge. As long as you are filled with your own mundane knowledge, you are not giving a space for nature to fill its real knowledge. That is where meditators are going to have such knowledge within themselves, and that is when it is called as intuition. There is a question here, if everything is Maya, what is the cause of creation? The cause of creation itself is Maya. As long as you think you are the body, then nature will be happy. As long as you think you are a lady, or as long as you think you are a gent, nature will be happy, because gent will have attraction towards a lady, lady will have attraction towards gents. As long as you think you are the mother, nature will be happy, because as long as you think you are a mother, you think you will have a daughter, you will have a son, and you will have a husband, and you will have other family members. As long as you are connecting yourself to all these other people whom you think are your own people, you will be bound. As long as you are bound, you will again take life. That is what is the basic purpose. If a tree is yielding fruits and then seeds, what is the purpose of fruits? Purpose of fruits, that fruits are going to become food to other living beings. What is the purpose of seeds? Through seeds, tree will again grow. Through so many seeds, many trees will further grow. That is what is Maya. So if you remain with your own basic mundane desire sticking to life, then the purpose of Maya is fulfilled. That's why I told you the meaning of Maya, right? The purpose of illusion is fulfilled. Illusion is you think you are the body and you will develop all the bodily relationships. When you develop all these bodily relationships, you want to retain those relationships. When you want to retain those relationships, you don't want to die, right? As such, how many want to die? Because salvation or liberation itself is permanent death. How many people want to liberate? How many people want to really have a salvation? How many fishes really want to merge with the water? Fishes don't want to die, right? Fishes want to have relationship with the other fishes as well. So if this goes on, that is the very purpose of nature. Nature has created a self-governing mechanism where each species will keep on producing itself. Humans will keep on producing humans. Dogs will keep on producing dogs. Horses will keep on producing horses. Mosquitoes will keep on producing mosquitoes. Coconuts will keep on producing further coconut trees. Mango trees will keep on producing further mango trees. That's a cycle going on. Udbhijja, Svedaja, Andaja, Jarayuja. If the cycle is going on, Maya will be very happy that that is the very purpose for which Maya came into existence. Who wants to go away from this cycle? The ones who are fed up with this particular cycle of life and death. Who wants to really understand the secrets of the soul? The ones who want to transcend the desires of the body. The real self is not the body, not the mind. Only when you transcend the ones which are binding you to the body or the ones which are binding you to the mind, then that is your true divine nature. The true nature of fish is water itself, because it is the water which is keeping the fish alive. But if the fish keeps thinking that I am a male fish, I am a female fish, I am a goldfish, if the fish keeps on thinking, fish want to remain that way because the memory of the fish is filled with this particular illusion. As long as this illusion is there in the memory, whatever is in the memory itself is going to become a seed for your next life. Whatever was there in the memory of Madhukarnath became a seed for his next life. Whatever was there in the memory of Paramahamsa Yogananda, that became a seed for his next life. You will have to read the autobiographies of or biographies of so many spiritual masters who had their memory recall of their previous lives. Now, if at all, in this life, or in the next life, or in the next 10 lives, or in the next 100 lives, if at all you realize that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the true divine self, then you are liberated in that particular life. Until then, it is your choice to be born once again because you want to come back again as a human being. As long as you keep thinking that you are a human being, you will remain a human being. That is what is Maya. And as far as the cause of creation is concerned, I told you, through this only the creation happened. If this does not happen, the creation will not be there. Whole universe will be empty, right? If there is no creation, whole universe will be empty. So the universe is binding you. Whether you want to liberate or not is your choice. If you remain bound, then again universe will be happy that you are bound by your own illusion now. That is why I have been telling that God realization and self-realization are one and the same. Fish wants to understand the ocean, or fish wants to understand the drop of water within it. Both are one and the same. There is only a quantitative difference. There is no qualitative difference. Whether you taste one small sugar crystal or whether you taste 1 teaspoon of sugar, it is one and the same. You are going to taste sugar in the same way. It is one and the same. Whether you eat 1 piece of Mysore pak, whether you eat 10 pieces of Mysore pak, the taste is the same. There is only a difference between quality and quantity. Otherwise, qualitatively, there is no difference. There is only a quantitative difference. God realization and self-realization are one and the same. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. If you realize that, then you will also realize that Aham Brahma Asmi. Both are one and the same. If you understand that my Father's house has many mansions is whatever Jesus Christ has told, then you will also understand whatever Jesus Christ has told as one more sentence, the kingdom of God is within. So God realization and self-realization are one and the same. The only choice is whether you want to understand this fact or you want to deny this fact. That is your own choice. Ultimately, for anybody to realize the self or not to realize the self is always a personal choice. To break the bonds or to remain with the bonds is always a personal choice. I had already told about it earlier, about the 3 relationships. One is Jivadaiva Sambandha, which is a Nitya Sambandha. The next one is Guru Shishya Sambandha, which is a Janmantara Sambandha. And the next one is Tatkalika Sambandha. Whatever relationships you think you have, they are all limited only to this particular life. And I had told about these 3 relationships in my earlier sessions. Let me not repeat it again today. Let me proceed to the next slide. So what is there in this slide now? You are seeing nothing in this slide. Nothing means, is there nothing? If there is nothing, then how can there be something in this universe? If this universe is nothing, then how can there be stars? How can there be planets? How can there be satellites? How can there be life on planets? How can there be these 5 elements? How can there be Udbija, Svedaja, Andaja, Jaraja types of life forms? So can space be nothing? We cannot say that space is empty. Space has to be something, right? What is that space that is something? That something is no thing. It is not a thing. That something from which energy arises, something from which particles arise, and gradually matter arises, then things arise. So if you have to visualize universe this way, you will have to visualize universe as black or dark. Why should you visualize as black or dark? Because in the universe there are stars. The stars are glowing, stars are burning, stars are fire. If the stars are burning, stars are also matter. That means matter came later. That means light came later. That means heat came later. If all that came later, what was there before? We should say darkness or black. Actually, it is not black. Actually, it is not dark. Because light is not there, we say it is dark, we say it is black. That is what you are seeing here now. So what are you seeing? Nothing but the dark, void, infinite medium. Dark, because light is not there. Void, because things are not there. Infinite. Infinite, because there is no end, there is no beginning. Now this is a medium. The medium in which everything is floating, everything is moving. The medium in which whether it is expanding or compressing or moving in which direction, we don't know. The sense of direction has no meaning in this multidimensional medium. So it has to be a medium. Just like the water is a medium for the fishes. This is a medium. Now this medium gives rise to all the large and small things. There is nothing called large, there is nothing called small. We refer it that way based on our own seeing abilities. It creates all the elements and the life forms. It creates the primordial energy called Adi Shakti. Gradually it creates all the smallest particles, then atoms, then molecules, then compounds, then all these elements and the life forms. It evolves the beings with increasing senses. This has been explained in detail till now, right from 0 sensed life forms till 5 sensed life forms. There has been evolution happening, and evolution is nothing but natural progression, and it's a cycle of reproduction to produce the same types of bodies again and again by involving in sensory and sexual activities as such. It is not dark when light has not yet emerged, because light is another form of energy. The people who have studied physics, they already know that the frequency of audible sound is 20 Hz to 20 kHz, whereas the light is in the frequency of terahertz. So light is a much higher frequency when compared to sound. So light has not yet emerged. Then we should say this is dark. It is not void when nothing is created, because this is no thing. When there is nothing created, we think it is void, but it cannot be void, because from a void space, how can there be creation of anything else? It is not void. But when we discuss from the angle of physics, when we discuss from the angle of objects or particles, we should say, or we should mention, it is void. Otherwise it is not void. It is not nothing. It is something that is subtle. If it is nothing, then how can something come out of nothing? If some things are come out of that nothing must be something. That nothing, that is something which is something subtle. It is not perceivable to the sensory organs. In fact, even in future, it may not develop any sensory organs for exhibiting itself. Fish may never realize water, even if fish are given new sensory organs, because water may not give any such sensory organs to the fish, such that fishes will realize water. For example, if all the human beings on this earth will realize immediately that God is watching them, will they do whatever they are doing right now? Spiritual people have always been telling that God is watching all of us. God is timeless. God is everywhere. But do people understand that? When Purusha Sukta says, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat, what does it mean? It means that God is moving with thousands of legs. He is watching with thousands of eyes. And he has thousands of heads. That thousand is basically a metaphor. A yogi will understand that God is watching us right now. A rishi will understand that God is watching us right now. A saint, a monk, a sage, a prophet, they will understand that God is watching us right now. Inside the ocean, if there's a realized fish, that fish will understand that water is watching all of us right now. But the other fishes do not understand. When the other fishes do not understand that is better that those fishes are under illusion. If everyone understands that God is watching all of us right now, will they do all those things which they have been doing till now? They will not do. If they do not any of those things now, if everyone is liberated, then in the next century, there will be no human beings on this earth. If everyone is liberated. But that is not the purpose of nature. Nature wants all beings to be here in the cycle of life and death. So that is why, even though God is watching all of us do not know that. Those who know that will stop doing all that which they have been doing. If let us say you realize that God is watching you always, then you will not do all those things which you have been doing till now. Just like if you go to a shopping mall, you can observe the people. There will be a board there that CCTV camera is there, or you are under CCTV surveillance. If that board is there, as soon as people watch that particular board, their way of movement within the shopping mall will change. Let us say the same people go to some other shopping mall where there is no CCTV, imagine. Then their way of moving in that shopping mall will change. Even in a factory, if there are, let us say, many employees, if a manager is watching all of them sitting in a corner, then their way of moving in the shop floor will change. In the same way, if the manager is not there, let us say manager has gone out for lunch, then the way in which they move will be changing. Right? In the same way, if people realize God is watching them all over, always, then their total life will change. Their total activities will change. But that is not the intention of God, right? The intention of God is that they should not realize that God is watching them. If they realize, then the cycle of life and death will not continue. The mechanism of reproduction will not continue at all. That is what is Maya. There is a question. Please let me know. This darkness creates all the elements and life forms. I did not understand. Please explain. I have been telling you that you will have to wait, right? My presentation is still going on. It will go on. Maybe still more sessions, not just one session now. I was thinking of ending it by 24 sessions, but I will not be able to end it by 24 sessions. All your questions will be answered. You will have to wait for my next slides. You keep on digesting whatever is being discussed right now. And if you keep on digesting what is being discussed, everything will fall into place. Because my next set of slides are going to discuss religions. Till now I've been discussing about science. From later on, whatever is the theosophical or philosophical or theological, religious, spiritual realization and practices, I'm going to discuss all that in the next set of slides. You'll have to wait until then. It is not space. It is the cause for the space. Because what is space? Space is full of particles. Space is full of strings. Space is full of movement of energy everywhere. you cannot see any vacuum space anywhere. Whatever we refer as vacuum is basically the space where there is no air. But if you go above 5-6 kilometers from the surface of Earth, that is called as vacuum because there is no air there. There is no air, right? But there is magnetic force there. Earth is still moving. Moon is still moving. Sun is still moving. Which means magnetic field is there. Magnetic force is there. So can you find really any vacuum anywhere? Vacuum means there must be nothing there. Even the magnetic field also should not be there. Even the magnetic energy also should not be there. You will not find such an empty space anywhere. Which means it is not space. The one which is causing the space is this particular divinity, infinite divine consciousness. Space came later on by the activity of consciousness and energy, and space is filled with particles. Please recall the definition of space which I had told earlier. It is pure, it is still, it is almighty, it is divine consciousness. It is pure. Why? Because nothing else is there except itself. Nothing else is there. Generally, what is called as purity and impurity? When something mixes with something else and something is causing harm to something else, then we say this is toxic or this is impure or something like that. Now, there are no other things at all. This is the only one divine consciousness, all pervading. It is pure. That is why in the Advaita Vedanta, always it is told as Shuddhatma, pure soul. It is pure. It is still. Why is it still? In the still consciousness, it is having intention to cause ripples of energies or causing minute movements, because of which particles are produced, finally objects are produced, finally life is produced. So it is pure, it is still. Just like ocean is still. In the ocean, on the surface, you will see ripples of water. You will see waves. Below the ocean, it is still. Same way, this divine consciousness is still. It is almighty. Why? It has power everywhere. It is infinite in all directions, multidimensional. It has power everywhere. It is creating its own movements. Through its movements, it is moving stars. It is moving planets. It is moving satellites. It is moving galaxies. There is movement everywhere in this infinite universe. And the movement is caused by this Almighty. Means its might is in all directions. It is divine. Why should we say it as divine? This is where the materialistic scientists are lost. They will have to have reverence, respect, devotion for the cause of creation. You will have to approach this subject with lot of reverence and lot of respect, lot of devotion. If that is not there, only ego will keep giving rise to other assumptions, and ego will keep giving rise to different types of queries, and that way queries only will go on. This particular domain of knowledge has to be approached with a lot of reverence. If that reverence is not there with the seeker, then the seeker is not actually seeking the ultimate truth. The seeker is only wishing for all the questions to be answered. And all the questions are basically what? Questions are coming out of a particular ego, and the ego is picking up whatever is already there in the particular memory. Whatever you have in your memory, based on that only you will ask questions. Which means, unless you put something better into your memory, you will keep repeating the same questions again. It is required that first you empty your memory and you fill your memory with this knowledge. All the answers are within. That is where Jesus Christ says, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall obtain. Knock and it shall be opened. Because the divinity has no secret at all. Secret is there with us as such, where we hide many things. Many times human beings are inside something else, outside something else. Whereas for the divinity, there is nothing called inside and outside, because it is pure. So why should we say it is a divine consciousness? Now, if we don't approach this consciousness thinking that it is divine, then we will take it for granted also. If the fish is not having respect towards water, the fish does not approach water, or if the fish does not connect itself with water with the devotion and respect, fish will not really care for water. Fish will be careless towards water. If fish is careless towards water, how will fish understand water? If, let us say, you don't have devotion or respect or reverence or faith towards the universal consciousness, how do you think you will realize your own self? Because reverence itself is egolessness. Respect itself is egolessness. Devotion itself is egolessness. There is no jnana without bhakti. There is no bhakti without jnana. That is what Adi Shankara told very clearly. There cannot be a jnana without bhakti. There cannot be a knowledge of the self without the devotion. And there cannot be a bhakti without a jnana. When you don't have this divine knowledge, you will not have devotion also. That is why both jnana and bhakti are your personal choice. Whether you want to be devoted, by means of which whether you will be realized, or whether you want to be realized, by means of which gradually you will develop devotion. Both are mutual. Jnana and bhakti are always together. And Adi Shankara has been a great combination of both. So, it is pure, it is still, it is almighty, it is divine consciousness. It is omnipresent, it is omniscient, it is omnipotent. It is omnipresent in the sense there is no beginning, there is no ending, there is no center, there is no periphery. There is no past tense, there is no present tense, there is no future tense. All these are applicable only to the objects that are created or the matter that is created. For the divine consciousness, omnipresence, it is omniscient. Water knows everything that is happening within itself. Fishes may not know about water, but water knows everything that is happening within itself. In the same way, the divine consciousness, everything is happening within, right? So it is omniscient. It knows whatever is happening. It is omnipotent. That means it has powerful. It is power everywhere. It has power everywhere. Don't keep on asking me questions I have told you. You will have to wait. If at all you have something else in your memory, you will have to clear it. Only when you make your memory empty, this knowledge will be filled inside you. Otherwise, I don't know from where all you pick up many ideas and you believe on so many other things, and then you keep on asking these questions. It is omnipresent, it is omniscient, it is omnipotent. Right now, I am talking and you are listening. It is watching. And it knows what I am thinking. It knows what you are thinking. But it does not do anything. Why? Because it has given us a freedom or a free will to use whatever we know. That is where the law of karma is working. It is omniscient. It knows right now whatever is happening. It knows whatever has happened earlier because everything is happening within it only. It is omnipotent. It has a power to move in whatever way. It can move something bigger also. It can move something smaller also. So it is omnipresent, it is omniscient, it is omnipotent. But it does not do anything that way in the personal lives. Why? Because it has given a certain amount of freedom for every living being to live as per whatever is there in their own memory. That is where Maya is in place. That is where law of karma is in place. So that way, it will not interrupt with the personal affairs of anybody. But it knows in whatever way whoever is involved. And the law of karma is always in place. Out of its will, it becomes unstill and it becomes energy. I have been telling about this earlier. You will have to read the Upanishad. Asadvaidamogra asit tato vai sadajayata tadatmanam swayamakurata. You will have to read the Taittiriya Upanishad to understand this sentence. Asadvaidamogra asit. Everything was unreal. Tato vai sadajayata. From where the real came into existence. Tadatmanam swayamakurata. It made itself on its own. So out of its will, it becomes unstill. When it becomes unstill, it becomes energy. Because unstillness itself is movement. Again, I'll tell the sentence of Jesus Christ or the sentence in the Bible. I think it is in the Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. What does it mean? If you are still, you are God. If fish is still, it is water. When the fish is unstill, fish thinks, I am fish and I have energy. But basically fish is water. That is its pure self. Without understanding that, fish is relating itself with its own mind, with its own body, and fish is under illusion. That is how fish is bound by the Maya or by the illusion. Again, some of my listeners may think that this is all my discussion. Sorry, this is not my discussion. You may think that this is all the ideas of Aravinda. Sorry, no. These are not the ideas of Aravinda. These are the revelations which came as intuitions. And all these revelations are from the genuine spiritual sources only. Coming back to science. Maybe this is my last slide today. I'll continue with the same slide in the next session as well. People who have studied physics, they understand this particular electromagnetic spectrum, where you will see that radio waves, then microwaves, then infrared waves, visible light, ultraviolet light, X-rays and gamma rays. people who have studied physics have to recall. Does it penetrate the Earth's atmosphere? Yes, radio wave penetrates. Whereas infrared, microwave does not. Again, visible light, does it penetrate? Yes, laser light penetrates. Ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma ray, no. Now look at the size. As wavelength is reducing, the frequency is increasing. At the upper side, it is the wavelength that is given. And you can see this wave that is moving, frequency is increasing. Now the radio is at the side about the size of buildings. Then comes to the size of humans. Then comes to the size of honeybees. Comes to the size of pinpoints. Comes to the size of protozoans in the frequency of visible light. Then it comes to the size of molecules. Comes to the size of atoms. Comes to the size of atomic nuclei when it comes to the gamma rays. Now the frequency with radio waves is around 10 power 4 hertz. I told you that the frequency of sound is 20 to 20,000 hertz, right? Now from 100 kilohertz onwards, it is radio waves. Actually from 100 kilohertz till a certain range, it is also called as ultrasound. The sound which human beings cannot hear. But the sound which bats can hear, cats can hear, dogs can hear, penguins can hear. Sorry, not penguins, dolphins can hear, whales can hear. There are many such creatures which use ultrasound for their communication. Many insects can hear. So, from 10 power 4 till 10 power 8, that is called as microwave region. From 10 power 8 to 10 power 12, let us say it is called infrared region. Infrared means before red. Later on you can see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You can see this rainbow color here. 7 colors. The least frequency is that of red color. The highest frequency is that of violet color. Above which it is called as ultraviolet. When the frequency is in the range of 10 power 16 hertz, it is called ultraviolet. Now visible light is in this particular range between 10 power 12 to 10 power 15. And then at the range of 10 power 18 hertz, it is called X-rays. And at the range of 10 power 20 hertz, it is called gamma rays. Beyond 10 power 20, it is called cosmic rays. Now, there is an ozone layer which is protecting the Earth's atmosphere. And because of which, the cosmic rays which are produced by the sun are not coming into the Earth's atmosphere. Now think about it. The cosmic rays are highly dangerous frequencies which are frequencies beyond 10 power 20 hertz. If such cosmic rays or even the ultraviolet rays which are emanating from the sun, if they reach into the Earth's atmosphere, everything can be burnt. Because of the heavy heat that is coming into the Earth's atmosphere, even the ice that is there in the Arctic region, in the Antarctic region, in the Himalayas, in the Alps, everywhere the ice can be melting. But fortunately, there is this ozone layer which is protecting the Earth's atmosphere. Now think about it. Who put the ozone layer in place? God himself. Because God put the ozone layer in place, the cosmic rays of the sun does not penetrate into the Earth's atmosphere, and that is how life is possible on the surface of Earth. If ozone layer is not there, then all the sun's damaging rays will reach the Earth and there can be no life here. So even the existence of the ozone layer is God's intention. Now, temperature of bodies emitting the wavelength, you can see here 1000 degrees, 100,000 degrees, 10,000 degrees, that way it goes on. Kelvin, not degrees. 1 Kelvin, 100 Kelvin, 10,000 Kelvin, 10 million Kelvin, that way it goes on. That means when the frequency increases, temperature is also increasing. So, right from the radio frequencies till gamma rays, this is called electromagnetic spectrum. Why is it called electromagnetic spectrum? because there is electricity as well as magnetism together. Magnetism has been the first energy in the universe, and later on, this magnetism itself charged all the electrons, and because all the electrons have charges, when electrons move, it becomes electricity. So basically, this is an electromagnetic spectrum. Let me stop with this slide today. Tomorrow I will start again with this particular slide only. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a function to attend, and Thursday anyhow we don't have a session. I will see you again on Friday. Until then, take care and goodbye.